Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another holiday edition. Last show before the Christmas and the New Year. So, welcome in everyone. Let's start it up. Jimmy, let's go.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast. Talking Titans.
Ward looking. Looping out of trouble. Trying to set up receivers. He's going to throw against his body to the end zone. Caught! Touchdown! Spectacular! Cam Ward, welcome to Nashville.
The sickest Tennessee Titans podcast. It's going to be sick.
All right, we are back once again. Another edition, Sick Podcast Talking Titans. Before we start, we will going to give a special shout out to our great sponsors over at DraftKings. DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL, makes every playoff moment feel bigger. DraftKings has your back with early exit protection. If the player in your eligible NFL prop bet goes down at any point in the first half, you still get paid in cash. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code 6sports. That's code 6sports to turn $5 into $300 in bonus bets if your bet wins. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, fees may apply in Illinois. 21 and over. Age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. See sportsbook.draftkings.com/promos. NFL Sunday ticket offer for new subscribers only and auto renews until canceled. Digital games and commercial use excluded. Restrictions apply. Additional NFL Sunday ticket terms at youtube.com/go/NFL Sunday ticket/terms. Limited time offer.
Alrighty. Joined always by my counterpart, Jarett. Jarett, how we doing today, brother?
Definitely the Christmas spirit. Obviously, you can see both of us with the Christmas hats. So we're all getting ready. Hopefully, you and your families are well and you enjoy it. And we come away with a win. So let's talk Titans.
Absolutely. So since we last were here, we had some good news on the front of the Pro Bowl. At least at this moment, we know of two players will be representing the Titans in this Pro Bowl game, which is basically unwatchable now. And I don't even think they have a game anymore. But it's still an accolade that everybody wants, especially in the instance of Chimere Dike being the AFC representative as the kick returner, as a rookie. Very impressive. And of course, as we all expected, defensive tackle Jeffrey Simmons, once again, making the Pro Bowl, representing Tennessee. What do you think about those selections that we learned about today, Jarett?
I mean, with Jeff Simmons, obviously well-deserved. I mean, we have high criticism for him on the podcast because you wear the C on the chest and, the penalties, but his play. And, so, I don't know if it was us or whatever, but you've seen people, wanting to trade him at the deadline. He's a solidified piece for a foundation, just like as Sweat and Cam Ward is. And his play, and the way he was talking about how he wants to be, part of this turnaround. This is one of the closest teams he's ever been on. Cam Ward's the truth. It just shows me the hard work that he has put in, to deserve his fourth time as a Pro Bowl. And hopefully he's an All-Pro this year because he's definitely deserving of that. He's been an absolute disruptor on the field, a wrecking force. So, I mean, if he just keeps playing the way he does even next year, and he's the building foundation, he deserves every accolade he gets right now. And especially for Chim Dike, coming as a rookie, and he's breaking all these records and, most net yards, coming in as a rookie, it speaks a lot. I was very skeptical about drafting him. I knew he was going to be a burner per se, but really didn't know what kind of value we were going to get late in those rounds when we drafted him. But, man, he turned my head, and I know he turned your head and everybody else who's watching this right now. He's turned a lot of heads, and if he builds on that in the future, he's going to have multiple Pro Bowls, not even as a punt returner. He could be, a Pro Bowl wide receiver in the slot, in years to come. So very happy for both of them.
Yeah, and honestly, you can make an argument that DK should be an All-Pro as well.
Yeah.
We'll see how that shapes up as the weeks go on. But for my money, I don't think there's many returners in the NFL that are as electric as him and as capable of hitting home runs on every single return. So hope to continue to see him grow. You can tell he's a very humble kid, very dedicated to his job and his craft. And just another player of the plethora that we have that you should definitely be excited about, envisioning a future with them involved in an offensive scheme that some would consider dangerous and up to par with the current NFL. So, he is a slot guy that we don't even know what the ceiling is on yet. And that's pretty exciting moving forward. But we know that he should be and likely will be the returner for as long as he's on the team. And that's an element to the offense that you can't put a price tag on. Having that opportunity of starting 50-yard line and better anytime he takes a punt is just incredible
Clips of
to
field. Yep.
envision. So, yeah, big props to those two guys. And yeah, we're moving on now to another game at home, our last home game of the season. Looking to potentially have, I would say, the first win streak well beyond a year. And it seems like something that doesn't even seem possible for a team like this. But I guess at this point, with the progression of Cam Ward, it's something that we can honestly cheer for without too much, resentment. You know what I mean?
No, I totally get it. And for him to come into this game trying to get another win at home against another rookie quarterback. The Saints are playing, really well as of late. Chris Olave is over there. He's one of the most underrated wide receivers in my opinion. So if we contain him, who had what? He had 2 touchdowns and over 150 yards, something like that last
Something
week.
like that.
Yeah, but still, I mean, if we contain him and Cam just keeps, being Cam, and we're running the ball like we have been the last 3 weeks, over 100 yards, Tony Pollard in three straight weeks now. It seems like I said, the offensive line is starting to gel a little bit, and we're starting to move the pile, which is good, and which gives Cam more time, and opens up play action as well. So I mean, us hitting those home runs, and like you said, if we get on a little run here, I don't really care about the draft position, because if we can get one of those guys, and Tate or another wide receiver to impact us, I'm not really worried about that. I just want to see progression, what Cam Ward has been, and this whole team progress towards the end of the season here. And I would love to play spoilers to the Jaguars if that game is going to need something for them, next week after the Saints.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of statistics going around that essentially, if you're not getting the number 1 pick and you're getting between 2 and 10, it's essentially, there's really no difference as far as the value there. There's just as many players that are picked 10th that are, 85 plus PFF guys as there are in the top 3. And there might even be more people that are closer to the bottom 10 than the top 10 that are elite talents. So I'm not too worried about it either. I want Cam Ward to continue to stack excellent games. And, people can say what they want about the depleted Kansas City Chiefs. As we mentioned it Sunday after the game, there was a lot of key players for the Chiefs that were there.
On defense,
Spagnola,
especially.
yeah, well, that's what I'm specifically talking about. Spagnola was blitzing damn near 50% of the time against this kid, and he was above 50% on his blitz package, on his blitz throws. So those are really good things. I mean, those are pinpoint things that you can look at and say, hey, this guy is coachable. This guy knows when he's doing things wrong and wants to improve. We already know the humble nature that he has as far as, if they win and he doesn't perform well, he's not on that podium doing backflips and saying, well, we won. It doesn't matter. I sucked. We won. No, he wants to always be the guy that is just as important to the victory as the defensive players and the other skill players. And I think that's because he feels obligated as the leader, as the number 1 overall pick, to be a strong focal point of this team's success. And I don't think that's anything bad. Some people look at it as a negative. I really don't. I think it's always good to have a guy that's continuously striving to be perfect, because obviously no one's going to be perfect, but the people that strive to be perfect the most, they're going to be most successful. So that's why I love his attitude in that regard. And there's also people, Jarrett, which we'll talk about here quickly as well. Some people are up in arms about Cam Ward publicly stating how he wants to be part of the coaching search and he wants to be, involved because he's a rookie. Where does he get off? Well, I'll be the first one to say to anyone who has a problem with that, Do you have any idea the situation that this young man was put into? The fact that, let's not forget, he's fighting for his life here. This is his livelihood just as much as it is the coach, the players that are going to be here next year, and everybody else involved. This is Cam Ward's livelihood. Cam Ward wants to get a check or wants to get a contract after his 4th or 5th year that would change his family's life for generations to come. And in order for him to do that, he wants to make sure that the coach coming in, he's not going to be there with a notepad asking him like hard questions, this, that. He wants to be there to communicate with the guy, get a vibe for him, and be in, and be part of the discussion with Borgonzi and Brinker. He's not going to be making decisions. It's crazy for anyone to be upset about that. What do you think?
No, I mean, I think it's laughable, to be honest with you. Anybody that thinks what gives Cam Ward the balls to say that out loud is absolutely out of their mind. Look what we did to Marcus Mariota. How many head coaches and how many offensive coordinators did he have, on his way here? We ruined him. Cam Ward went in there, and like you said, he wants to go in there. He's going to be with the guy in meetings. He needs to know what kind of scheme he's going to be in, if it fits him well, and how he wants to attack the field. They're essentially going to be best friends, right, in this whole thing, to try to bring a championship to Nashville. He wants that check, and he wants that second contract, but he also wants to raise that trophy because he's a winner.
Mm-hmm.
And he wants to be the first quarterback to do it in Nashville in a brand new stadium. So for everybody else up in arms about all this, it's laughable. It's just like, what gives him the right to do it? What gives him the right? He's going to be the one that's QB1 of this football team. He wants to be a part of those conversations. He doesn't have to be a part of the people. He's going to be a part of the people that we bring in for free agency. But the biggest thing is the head coach. Is he going to be right for this locker room? Is he going to be right for putting the players in positions to win football games, not just piecing the players where the coach wants? That's where we had problems, in prior years, where the Zach Mettenberger years with Ken Wisenhunt and Mike Munchak, where they were taking great guys and they were putting them in positions where they thought they would succeed. Whether like I said, I was a big advocate of putting guys where they feel comfortable, and if they did this in college, let them do it in the NFL. Don't try to make miracles of it, and that's where I think Cam Ward wants to feel with the new head coach. So I'm all for it. You know that.
Yeah. Yeah. And listen, like I said, at the end of the day, when you're looking at the future of this team with this quarterback, there needs to be a focal point on him. He needs to be the focal point of the offense.
Yep.
If he's not, then you look like a total ass clown using the highest draft pick possible to bring him in. You have a million other holes. If you're not going to bring Cam Ward into this organization to be the focal point and star of your offense moving forward, then there is absolutely no reason why you should take him. You should take another high-end player and draft a guy like, Tyler Shook or whoever else in the lower rounds. No, you picked Cam Ward number 1 because you thought he was the best thrower of the football in the class. And that is what you need to let him do moving forward. You got to live and die by this kid. You didn't do it with Mariota. You didn't do it with Willis. You didn't do it with Levis. You coddled all 3 of them. You brought them in, let them hand the ball off 30 times a week until there was no other options, and then you let them out. You fucking left them out to dry, And you don't want to do that with this kid. You don't. You want to bring people in that he likes. You want to keep people on the squad right now that he likes. You don't need to treat him like a king, but treat him like the guy you brought him here to be, because that feeds off to everything else. Him feeling confident, him being good, him being successful allows him to hold everybody else accountable. And you need your star quarterback to be able to hold everyone accountable without any talk back.
And it seems like they are doing that in a locker room where we're not seeing it as fans, really, because I can't put my finger on it, really. He was on the OTP on their podcast this week as well, saying that this is a really close locker room. Jeffrey Simmons says this is one of the closest locker rooms he's been into. And remember, Jeffrey Simmons has been with the Taylor Lewans of the world, and that was a really close locker room with Derrick Henry and Ryan Tannehill, so on and so forth. But when you see how there's a young mix of rookies and veterans trying to bring this and right this ship the right way, I mean, the culture could be there in the locker room per se, and they may not believe into the scheme right now with the head coach, and they're just playing for their contracts and playing for each other because they know who is really going to be here. Even though the 50% of the turnaround of the roster is going to happen, they know the core nucleus and the foundation is there, and they want to bring those guys in there because, like I said, if they keep showing lackadaisical play and they're not motivated, and there's impending free agents, right? And if impending free agents see that and they're like, "Fuck this, I don't want to go to Tennessee." These guys look like they don't want to play. The locker room's not great. That's where I think that this core nucleus is going to be the key piece of this foundation moving forward. I'm glad you brought up the head coach coaching search because on all of our social media platforms, we posted, obviously, one of our famous things is the eliminating one, where we give the voice to the fans and everybody on social media. And surprisingly, in my opinion, Jimmy, throw that graphic up. Surprisingly, they did away with Matt Nagy out of everybody here. Right? To me, that was an absolute shock. Would not be my first person. I don't know about you. But there's other names on here. I know we always do 9, but there's other names on here that I would like to see, on the list, but they weren't there. But what was your reaction that everybody crossed out Matt Nagy at first?
Yeah, I mean, I got to use my phone today, so I'm having trouble looking at some of these guys. But yeah, no, I'm probably a little. But here's the thing, Jarrett, and I don't want to speak on behalf of all of our viewers because all of our viewers aren't of the mindset of have this small of a mindset. But there's a group of people that already didn't want Matt Nagy and are allowing this past game to have an impression on them of him, which I'll give Paul Kaharski credit, also set him off as well during his live because it is completely asinine. If you're going to judge Matt Nagy as a coordinator based on what he did with a guy that you or nobody or everybody has never heard of at quarterback is ridiculous. He had success with Mitchell Trubisky, brought them very close. They went to the playoffs with Mitchell Trubisky. You look at a lot of statistics of these coordinators that have tier 1 quarterbacks. When they become coaches, a lot of the time that does not work out. I tend to want to look at the coordinators that do well with quarterbacks that people don't put on the top tier list. And Nagy definitely fits the bill there. Now, I'll be the first to say, like I've said prior, he's not a guy that gives you any energy when you see him. He's not a guy that you can picture, at least I can't, after a game in the locker room with a bunch of dudes around him screaming, yelling, getting a chant going, anything like that, like Liam Cohen did. Now, the good news about that is I thought Liam Cohen had no shot at being that guy when they brought him in. You go back to that Duval interview, the cringest thing maybe I've ever seen. And now that guy makes you want to run through a wall. And he's saying all the right things, and he's on the podium saying they don't want to give us respect, and I'm glad they don't. And these are all good bulletin board things you want your coach to say. So that goes back to my point about me trying to go into this hire with an open mind. So if it is Nagy, I'm not going to be depressed about it. I'm going to let him prove me wrong or right. And if it's any of these guys. But on surface level, no. Matt Nagy wouldn't be my first pick because I don't get any juice from him on the surface level, and that's just something I personally am looking for.
No, I mean, yeah, I get it. Maybe I'm a little biased because he was a Jersey guy, but like I said, he worked with quarterbacks like you said.
Oh yeah.
That does say a little something, right? And he was, sub 500, a couple of 8-8 seasons. He had the 12-4 season where he won Coach of the Year. But like I said, that was a disaster Bear team where he kind of turned it around, and then all of a sudden, people left, and he was in the shit roster. But other names I would like to see on there, obviously Robert Saleh, he's another juice kind of guy.
Yep.
Jim Schwartz.
Yep.
I think he may be his time has come yet again. Arthur Smith, another homegrown kind of guy. Obviously, you have the likes of Mike McCarthy, Cliff Kingsbury, if he's another guy wants his opportunity to come back as a head coach. You think he sat there long enough after a couple of years off, and now he's back with Washington. Those are the kind of guys I kind of want to get because they had the head coaching experience.
Yeah.
They know the politics of it. I don't want the rest of the guys on that list right there because they're going to be navigating towards, the first year at head coach. And like I said, some cases, right? And everyone thinks like Liam Cohen, this is his first time as a head coach. It's not. He coached at Kentucky. He was Will
Yeah.
Levis's head coach at Kentucky. He was a head coach before, so he knew how to, be a head coach, right? He took his transition and went to the NFL as an OC, and it was a great OC. And turns out, look, he turned the Jaguars almost into the number 1 seed right now, fighting for a playoff spot, and they looked lethal going into Denver last week. So, yeah, I mean, the turnaround can happen real quick. It just needs to be the right coach. And like you said, the right head coach is not a rookie head coach. It's one of those veteran head coaches, I think, that are going to
Well,
have the job.
I'll say this though. 2 names to look into that I'm picking up some steam about are Clint Kubiak and Mike Shula. Obviously, surface level, those are 2 guys where the first things you look at are the last names, but they're young. I don't think it necessarily hurts that they come from a great lineage of football, but they give me some energy. I've seen some interviews from them. I think Shula is fucking, a couple years older than us. I don't even think he's 40 yet. And I think, again, youth and energy is really something that is an underrated piece to this puzzle. That's just something I want most of our watchers to understand. I really do. That's my personal opinion. The energy part, the leadership qualities. I mean, yes, that's really important, but more or less the energy part. You got to get these guys amped up on every single down, every single week.
Of course, and like I said, we don't see those guys that I named, much because they are coordinators. We never really seen them besides Arthur Smith. We've seen, Jim Schwartz because we're all Titan fans. We've seen how he can get a room going. Same thing with Arthur Smith with post games, as well, because he was a head coach in Atlanta and an offense coordinator for us. But some of the other guys, right, we really never knew what Cliff Kingsbury was, rookie head coach, in Arizona, how he is right now in the locker room and how he gets the guys going in Washington. Those other guys, like you said, Shula and Kubiak, right? 2 young guys. For me, and this is just my personal opinion, it could be some of yours that are listening as well. I can't take another young coach that we think is going to be it because we had the Brian Callahan, situation. The only young head coach, first-year head coach that I liked was Vrabel, because he had that fire and juice. I don't want to be scarred again, as a Titan fan. I kind of want a bona fide guy that we know that, hey, this guy done it as a head coach. He's been in the league, a hell of a lot long. He's seen coverages. He's seen, these scenarios. That's what I want, and I think that's what we're kind of going to get. Some of these guys may have their opportunity, like you said, not Kingsbury, but Shula and Kubiak. They're going to be, getting their opportunity. I don't know if it's going to be this cycle or not, but my opinion, watch out for those names that I mentioned as well.
And also, I think I might have said it's Chris Shula, not Mike. I don't want to mispronounce that, but listen, I understand your point. I think realistically, I think they're going to bring in a lot of people that are going to be part of Cam Ward's offensive game plan.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the pendulum is going to swing a little bit more towards the energy and the leadership quality as far as the coach is concerned. That's going to be more important rather than the X's and O's, which is, of course, important. You would assume whoever the guy is going to have a lot of knowledge of the X's and O's. But, again, I think the absolute most important thing is a rah-rah guy that's going to change the culture of this team. That, again, I'll keep saying it. I watch these games, even just last night. We're talking about the Colts and the Niners. The Colts are led by a guy damn near 45 years old, and they're still looking like they're moving at a different speed than our football team is moving. There's a reason for that. I'm sorry, there's no other way to put it besides effort level, things of that nature. I'm not saying these guys are not trying at all, but when I feel like there's such a glaring difference in the speed of the game from what I watch every week to what I see on prime time every week, that's got to be a culture issue. Finishing tackles, through the whistle. You know what I mean? Like, we got guys that do dumb penalties, But how many fucking horrible tackle attempts have you seen our guys in the backfield make? If these things are not, if they're not held accountable and they're not in the film room getting their ass chewed because of this shit, then it's not gonna you're not gonna see anything improve. And we need that guy. I'll give Rabel credit in that regard. I think he was really good at holding guys accountable, at least in the film room. You need that the most, and I hope that the guy we get really has that fire under his belly to get the most out of these guys.
Yeah, no, I think that hire will definitely, because like I said, this needs to be the right hire, and this needs to be the coach for the next X amount of years, and we're not talking three, we're talking 5 plus. Because we need stability with a young quarterback as well, a number one overall quarterback as well. Because for him to go another 3 years and he could be it, and then he has that quarterback, I mean that head coach rotation and three quarterbacks in his first term in 4 years. That's not a good look. So they know. I think everybody knows. There's four ex GMs in that office where they know they have to get this hire right for the future and the right for Cam Ward's success for this team. But moving on to it, since it's Christmas, we're not going to be probably on until post game on Sunday. Going to do a little mix up this week. Let's do a little score prediction.
Okay.
Again, shoot it up.
Yeah, so we got. I'll be honest with you. I really like what Tyler Stick's doing. So
Right now, before you go to line is plus 2.5. We're getting 2.5 at home, and the over under is 39.5.
Yeah, that's a game that really, if I put any money on, it'll be sheerly out of entertainment value because I couldn't tell you either way. But I'll give you a score prediction solely based on the fact that our secondary is depleted and Tyler Shook is playing very poised. And they're on a little bit of a win streak right now. They might have won 3 in a row. I got to double check. They won at least 2 in a row. I'm going to go. I don't think we're going to win this one, honestly. I think we're going to lose this one 24-20 Saints.
Kind of very similar to where I'm going, but I'm
Yeah.
going to reverse it just because of the fact of I think we are getting after the quarterback a little bit. Their running game is kind of depleted a little bit, and they're going to be a little one dimensional. And I think we're going to be able to handle that, especially Olave, whether we double him or whatever the case may be. And I think Cam Ward is showing progression, especially even though the Saints have a decent defense. I think we extend this win streak, and right now we're 2-1 in the last 3 games, and I think we're going to go 3-1 in the last next 4 games. So I have us winning 24-16. A little home streak we got going on right now. So
Yeah.
I think the Titans pull it off.
Hey, listen, like I said, if they win this game on the back of Cam Ward's success, then 2 enthusiastic thumbs up from me. If they win this game because Tony Pollard has 165 yards rushing and they force a fumble and get an interception, then I'm just going to be honest with you, it doesn't really do you much in 2026, especially when Cam Ward's the quarterback that isn't even happy when they win if he's not performing well, which again, some people hate. I don't think it's that big of a deal. It's a guy that just demands perfection from himself. And he knows he's in a horrible situation. So we'll see how things shape up. It should be an entertaining game. Hopefully it's a game where we can see real home field advantage as far as at least fans showing up for the last home game of the year, and more momentum to roll into the last season at the old Nissan Stadium. And this will bring me to my last point before we close out tonight. Sometimes I feel, Jarrett, that I might have one iota of a impact on some of the things that happen with this football team because of the platform that we have. And if there's any way that I can figure out a way to use my voice to make a change, I'm going to press for it. I want this team to go back to the old jerseys, the old white helmets, whether that be this coming season in 26 or the first year at the new Nissan Stadium. The marketing, it makes all the sense in the world. Everybody wants throwback now. Everybody hates the current life we're living and the look at the future. We want to be brought back. The white helmets, the old school jerseys. You could bring the red alternates. I mean, the list goes on of things you could do. You got the old players for the marketing you could bring in. But that's going to give me some juice too, because nothing's been going good since this new fucking uniform. I mean, well, outside of obviously our one run. But what do you think?
No, listen, I wholeheartedly agree. I mean, Eddie George, his jersey is hanging up on my wall. I love that look. I love the white helmet look. That kind of attracted me as a Titan fan. I know it attracted you and most of the listeners as well. So going into the new season, I mean, not going into the new stadium. I think that's where it should be, where we're going back to the retro. I love the old school Oilers helmets too.
Yeah.
The baby blue with the white the white Oilers symbol. I don't like that. I like the red incorporated in there as well. That's my favorite uniform, and especially old school, Tennessee Titans one with the white helmet. That has to happen, I think.
Yeah. So I'll be pressing the issue on that throughout the off season, and maybe Amy Adams will be keeping an ear out for our recommendations, because she's going to need it, because as of right now, at least from their standpoint as ownership of the Titans, there's no reason to think you're having really that many Titan fans showing up to these games in the last year here and in the new stadium. You're probably feeling pretty good about it always selling out because it's brand new and you're filling the stadium with your opposing fans every week, even in a decrepit building. So you're looking good there. But if you actually want to have a real fan base and maybe have some noise coming from your own fans during a game, maybe a fucking game at night in the next 20 years at our home stadium,
No, I feel you.
you better start trying to get some people in the seats. And I think the retro attitude would definitely help that. So we'll see how things shape up. But anything else, Jay, before we close out for the remainder of not the year, but we'll be back before the year.
We'll be back before the end of the year. But yes, Merry Christmas to everybody. Hopefully the Titans bring Christmas miracle to everybody and a nice win on Sunday. So we'll catch you on Sunday after the game.
Absolutely, guys. Have a wonderful holiday. And we will catch you on the flip after our last home game of the year. So happy holidays. And as always, Titan up. Jimmy, send us out.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast Talking Titans on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.